Hello, everyone. Guess who's back? I am back. I am back. I am back. Happy to be back at Guided by Spirit. I am your host, Richard LaRocco, with my amazing co-host, Pauline Raffaella. How you doing, Pauline?
Hi, Richard. I'm doing well, and I am beyond thrilled to have you back. Okay.
Thank you.
It
I'm
has
glad to
been
be back.
it's been a long 2 months without you.
Oh my goodness, I know. It's crazy. Time flies, but I really did miss talking with everybody, connecting with everybody. I really did miss it, and I'm glad to be back. We're going to talk about that today. We're going to talk about a lot today. And this is probably going to be a very quick, uh, you know, time's going to fly by. So I'm excited. Let's get into it. So let's start out with universally speaking and what's going on energetically. Let's kick it off and then get to the meat and potatoes because I know people are curious.
Well, that's it. So, we do have some amping up of the astrology. I think everybody knows that we just had the planetary alignment, right? I think there were 7 planets in alignment in the sky. And I would love to know if any of our listeners on there actually saw it. I kept going out to see it and I couldn't see it. I was a little annoyed. I was like, why can't I see this? But there's certain angles. It was easier to see that alignment. And so, this apparently this hasn't happened in many, many, many decades longer. And so there's a symbolic reason, and I actually even put something on my Facebook page about this, that, it is symbolic of the alignment that we humans need to be in as the world turns, as we ascend, as the planetary energies heighten, and the higher frequencies and higher levels of consciousness are more available to us. So it's very symbolic of the alignment that we need to get ourselves into. It's not going to happen automatically. We've got to get ourselves into alignment. So what does that mean, Richard? What does it mean to be in alignment, right? We need to be aligned with God, universe, our higher self. We need to be on the path of ascension. We need to do our inner healing work. We need to follow our spirit, our soul, our body. We need to be in alignment. And we're going to talk a little bit more about following your body when we get to you later. I got some big questions for you. That planetary alignment is very, very important, and it's very significant. I do want to chat a little bit about Venus in retrograde.
All right, let's talk about Venus. So what's going
Okay.
on with Venus? My
So
friend, my longtime friend Venus.
Venus. Well, we all love Venus, the planet of love and beauty and even prosperity. And this is the only planet right now that is retrograde, but it is in Aries. We are going to enter into a very fiery Aries season more toward the end of March, as quite a few planets move into Aries. And so we're in this Venus retrograde in Aries. So what does this mean? Well, with any retrograde, it's always a review of the past, right? Usually there's something from the past that comes back, or because the planet's in Venus, if you find yourself thinking about a person. It could be a friend, a family member, an ex relationship, anything to do with relationship and love. It could be very heavy on your mind right now, especially if there wasn't closure in the past, or
Mm.
if you lost a loved one. And this would be a time where Venus makes us sort of go back and remember. All right. And so maybe there's just some more healing work to do in your life with a friend, like I said, a family member, an ex-lover. Maybe you're still pissed off, got a time to get rid of that all those old feelings. So, and because Venus is in Aries, Aries is a fire sign. So, the way I see it is like we're really being given that fire and that strength to clean up the past relationships, clean up the past, let it go, and burn our way ahead. So, we don't want to be impulsive or anything because Aries can be impulsive. But also, this can mean relationships can good relationships can experience a little bit of a rough time right now with Venus in Aries retrograde. Ooh, there could be some arguments, could be some disagreements. Just be mindful. It's Venus making you look at things that you need to correct within yourself. That's all it is.
I love it. And that's a lot of what goes on. I mean, ebb and flow, stay aligned, communicate, in relationships, we don't always get the closure we need, but you got to find the peace that your heart requires. So that's a big thing. Um, and we have some comments. We got some, hi, good to see you, Richard. Thank you, Cynthia. Much love to you. Thank you for sending healing and Reiki. Sheila, hi, Richard and Pauline. Great to see you both again. Great to be back, Sheila. Great to be back. Real fast, I kind of, before we go into a lot of what Pauline and I are going to talk about, I want to take a moment and just thank a lot of people. I want to thank people for sending, for the text messages, for the messages, the emails. This was a lot, and you guys are going to kind of hear it. There was a lot that I didn't share. Um, so, we're going to talk a lot about this and what happened and how I got from where I was to where I am, protocol wise. And we're going to have a big shout out. But I thank you, Pauline, for giving energy work and doing some amazing session. We also, my dear friend Tony, our friend, your student, just amazing. Everybody that sent healing energy and just so much love. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I also big shout out to Dr. Pina Lojadice,
Lo giudice.
Pauline, yes,
Lo
for
giudice.
from Inner Source Wellness. Dr. Pina, she's been on our show twice. She gave me a protocol. I will actually upload it, share it in the comments. It is amazing. I'm telling you, modern medicine was not working.
Mhm.
Everything that was going on, from heavy antibiotics, steroids, breathing treatments, inhalers, nothing was working.
Mhm.
Um, Within 3 weeks, her protocol had me almost back to where I needed to be. And, just being mindful and taking care of myself, I'm here. Like it's unbelievable what she did. And I send lots and lots of love and thanks to Dr. Pete on Long Island at Inner Source Wellness. If you guys ever have anything, please reach out to her. She is phenomenal. And it was all natural stuff. It was unbelievable. I even sent Pauline, she had me on this thing called methylene blue, which makes your tongue, absolutely blue, looks like you ate a Smurf. But it was a game changer in my healing process. And we're going to kind of talk about this because I don't think people realize what was out there, what I was going through. Well, let's just kind of dive in. So basically, my wife Ashley, about 2 weeks before Christmas Eve, got Corona flu, and that was that kind of quademic going around the Mid Atlantic up to the Northeast. And around Christmas Eve, I got it, and it started out as flu, Corona, then kind of went into pneumonia. Then shifted over to RSV, and I had gone to urgent care several times and sat there. They did X-rays. I had breathing treatments because my breathing was very bad. My oxygen level was very low. I was getting severe chest pains. My heart rate was through the roof, even though I'd be sleeping. It would be 120 beats per minute, which was not normal. And I actually started getting some complications from RSV. And I'm very transparent. So I'm going to say some things, and you guys, I'm always honest. You guys know that. It started to affect my heart and my lungs. At times, I felt like I was having a heart attack. At times, I couldn't breathe. Now, I had a neck surgery, which um, with the cervical surgery developed sleep apnea. And there were times I actually needed it throughout the day just to breathe. I would put on the oxygen, the mask just to function. Okay. And we're going to kind of go into why didn't you go to the hospital? Why didn't you go to the ER? I'm going to tell you very specific reason why. Um, if you want, tune in, comment. We have Marvell. Hello, Pauline. Then she has welcome back and really glad to see you recovered. Thank you, Marvell. Lots of love. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Um, so if you do have any questions, please leave it in the comments. We're here to respond and we're going to talk. So, Pauline, what kind of questions do you have for me? Because, I can ramble all day and I don't want to do that. It's not about me.
So, well, we spoke before the show, and I think
Yes,
it's important for people to understand what you went through, how you went through it, and how you got to the other side, and so much of the symbolism, the spiritual meaning, so
yes,
much of what this was all about, because we want people to understand that when something happens to you, there's many layers of why it's happening, right? There's the symbolic, there's the physical, there's the spiritual, there's the what am I supposed to be doing. So yeah, I've got a lot of questions for you, my friend. So when you first realized that you weren't right, okay, around Christmas thereafter, you went to the doctor and you got some prescriptions. Yeah. And when you realized that the antibiotics or the steroids that they had weren't working, what was your thought process?
I was actually really scared because what I felt like they wanted to help, and I have a great there's a great doctor around here. He really took some time. We were conversing back and forth in the portal, things like that, and they had me on some very strong stuff. So a couple of rounds of prednisone. They started me on a antibiotic, then went to Levaquin, 750 milligrams for a while. They started with an inhaler. They went to a stronger inhaler. Then they actually had me on a breathing treatment in the office. Um, and really, when it stopped working is when the concern hit. And I said, well, I really need to go to the hospital. And it was funny throughout this whole thing. And when I tell you I was sick, and I'm not being dramatic and I'm not making it up, when you can't get out of bed and you're used to walking 5 to 10, 15 miles a day, and you have no strength, your heart feels like you're going to have a heart attack and you don't have enough oxygen for anything, right? It gets a little scary. So I was having massive complications and spirit kind of shut off. It was literally like, we're going to give you a break. Now, throughout my day, people say, oh, do you talk to spirit? Yeah, I get stuff all the time, right? Turn left, turn right. Hey, here's a song. Oh, it's your mom. Like I get stuff all the time.
Mhm.
This was radio silent. Okay. It this happened one other time when I was in a car accident. I went after my neck surgery. They gave me about a month of nothing. Okay. And I asked afterwards and I said, why? And they said, because we need you to heal and focus on you, not anybody else. Right. You can't pour from something you don't have. And, thank you to everybody out there who understood about rescheduling readings, who inquired about readings and I couldn't accommodate. And, some people were understanding and some people weren't, you know?
But this is also a time when spirit cuts off, okay, because they want you to heal. That, do you think that maybe that's also a sign that you need to reach out to people to help you? Because we know we can't do it all ourselves. We would like to. Sometimes we would like to do it all ourselves, but sometimes we can't, and we need to reach out, right? And have somebody hold that healing space for us.
And I did, and I reached out to you. We had a great session. You continually sent healing energy. With Tony, we had healing session, lots of prayers around.
Yes.
There was, another person, Melissa, thank you, for sending energy. Cynthia would send energy and Reiki. A lot of people were behind the scenes sending energy. And here's the funny part to that. You're right. At one point, it got pretty bad. I didn't verbalize it or vocalize it to anybody. Um, and we had kind of like this, well, you could make it, you couldn't make it. Like I was on the line and I said, well, I got to go to the hospital. I said, this is getting to the point of very uncomfortable and very scary. Um, and Spirit chimed in. So think about like on the radio, you're listening and then you hear that beep, that warning from the broadcasting system and, the news bulletin, breaking news. It chimed in and said, don't go, don't go. And I'm like, why? And they said, you won't make it out. Are you serious? So
Well,
literally,
I'm gonna
go ahead,
interrupt you 1 second because there
go
was
ahead.
even I because when I kept texting you and I would say, "How are you?" and you would say to me, "Not good." And I think I even said to you, "Have you considered going to the hospital?" And you said, "No." And I said, "Why?" Tell them why.
Spirit literally said I would not make it out. And they showed me going on a ventilator to help and regulate the breathing. And um, they said, you will never walk out of there. Now, that sounds dramatic, right? And I get it. I get it. But literally the next night, my wife was on Facebook and she goes, "Oh my God." And I said, "What's the matter?" And she said, somebody I know who was a Reiki practitioner around my age, okay, um, had the exact same thing I did, complications that went to his heart and lungs, went to the hospital. They put him on a ventilator. 3 days later, he passed away. His wife was doing a GoFundMe and all this stuff. I looked at her, first words out of my mouth, I said, exactly. And that's why I don't want to go because that's what they showed me. And that was the universe validating that I knew that I needed to, they were guiding me. I had no idea where I was going, but this is what was going on. Now, 2 days later, about 3 days later, Dr. Pina reaches out. Okay. Now, conventional medicine, they put the kibosh on that. Who reaches out? Now, and she had a question about somebody, who did astrology and this and that. And I just said, oh, and by the way, well, all of a sudden, Dr. Pina sent over a protocol that literally saved my life. Again, not being dramatic, just being honest and transparent. Okay. I'll put it up because it really is amazing. Um, Within about a week of taking this, I started having vast improvement. Okay. I said, but I still have issues with my chest and everything. She says, hang out for another week, continue it. You'll be fine. If not, we'll revisit. We'll do some Chinese herbs. She said, get some acupuncture, do this, blah, blah, blah. Great. Week later, felt so much better. And I finished out all of what she did, had to order some more, things like that. But I'm telling you, it was the simple things that really got me. And if I didn't listen to spirit, we might not be doing this show. We might not be. And I'm just being honest. Like, it was a lot worse than what I kind of alluded. I didn't put it out there. I wasn't on Facebook. I needed a break from social media. I needed a break from just things to really focus on me. And sometimes we lose that.
And that's, yeah, that kind of leads into my next question. Besides all of this happening, thank God for Dr. Pina, and she is right here, and she is she's just starting to do IV drips now, okay, in the office, and I am making an appointment for that like today, tomorrow. So she's amazing. So thank God for her. Did she mention to you to eat some vegetables?
Yes. Yes.
And and what did you say?
Sure. Yeah. No problem.
Well,
And anybody I knows, but
there might be something to that you might have to consider, but
I,
that's another story.
yeah. And, I'm posting the picture right now of what I'm going to post it on my timeline, my hurting to healing, because it's not allowing me to do it on the thing itself. But I want people to know, like, listen to your higher self. And, you know, once I started doing the protocol with Dr. Pina, which was a game changer, about a week after I started, another young 9-year-old, and I forget her name, I can probably get it. She had the complications exactly what I had from RSV, from all of that, and it went to her heart and her brain. They put her in a self-induced coma to allow the brain to heal, and she shortly after passed away. So when I tell you, if you don't listen to yourself, and I had people like, go to the hospital, go here, do this, do that. You have so much going on. You're scared, you're nervous, you don't feel well. This is not normal. I want to get back to normality, but I literally couldn't. And, I'm just thankful I listened, and here I am. Here
Yes.
I am.
Well, the types of protocols that we need to heal conditions, right,
Mhm.
are based on what's really wrong with us. And one of the things that I know is being overlooked is that many of these viruses that they're or being called viruses are more parasitic in nature. And the answer for some of these is to look into things that actually kill parasites. They're starting to realize that even some cancers are parasitic in nature. And
Yes.
so, dealing with parasites is not the same thing as dealing with a virus or a bacteria. So, protocols for bacteria and viruses aren't going to work for parasitic infections. And so, I want everybody to know that, if you do some research on parasitic infections and understand some of the protocols that are needed for that type of infection. Okay,
Yes.
and yeah, and ventilators is not one of them, but that's another story. But I want people to really understand that you know what, I do a parasite cleanse like maybe once every month, once every 2 months, and I'm even happy to share what this very simple. But I do a parasitic cleanse, once a month, like I said, once every 2 months or so, because there's parasites everywhere. They're in the air. They're
Yeah.
they are potentially being injected into some of the foods, okay, that we may eat. They're in the soil. So we have to be mindful. This is really all part of taking care of our physical human body. Right,
Yeah.
Richard? Yeah.
Yeah. And it's true. And don't be afraid to. One thing I've learned is think outside the box. I
Mhm.
think that we become too reliant on um, what we feel is the right thing. And there are some amazing things, right? And I'm just fortunate. And if, some of the antibiotics and things worked, great. I'm blessed. But,
Mhm.
when they don't be afraid to think outside the box.
Yeah,
I shared on my page the protocol. One of them is Sovereign Silver, the bioactive silver um, hydrosanol, which you said is in your medicine cabinet as like a staple. It's a
it
droplet.
is.
It's an antibacterial fungal. Also on there is, some things to help with inflammation of the heart. Dr. Pina nailed it first shot. She took care of the heart. She asked me questions. I was brutally honest, and she got the inflammation down, the heart down, the lung support down. The methylene blue is crazy. Yes, your tongue will look blue, but I'm telling you, it is a game changer. It kept my mood great. I had some energy. It helps lung support. It is just phenomenal. And it also targets any foreign virus in the body. And it really destroyed it. And I'm just thankful that I'm starting to get back to normality. I haven't gotten a complete strength back and energy, but I'm getting there. Um, and this has been a lesson that you really have to, especially if you're a spiritual practitioner, if you do for others and you don't do for you, and you put yourself out there, whether you work on the front lines, whether you're a nurse. We have a lot of nurses here on our that follow us, a lot of healthcare practitioners, a lot of spiritual practitioners. Take care of yourself. Take care of yourself. And I don't mean in the sense of like just eat right and work out. No, take a break, have
Yeah.
balance, be mindful. It is okay to not be okay. I learned that. And that
Mhm.
was a very hard thing for me. It is okay to not be okay.
Yeah. The symbolism of that, we live in this world, okay? You gotta get up every morning at 6 o'clock. You've got to exercise. You got to eat a certain way. You got to have enough energy. You got to go. There's a formula, okay, that is put out there as the best formula that we need to do in order to keep going, keep doing. You know, that is not the higher consciousness way of living. It's we have to when we need to take a step back and recharge and do nothing, that is okay. And if you are not feeling well, as in your case, then it needs to be okay. And the focus needs to be solely on you. Maybe there's a deeper symbolic meaning that your soul needed your own nurturing. Didn't want it just wanted your own nurturing, wanted to be in its own energy, healing, nurturing yourself, right? So
Mhm.
what was the symbolism for you of this whole experience? Not mitigating anything that you went through, okay? Because what you went through was not easy and it was hell and we were all worried sick about you. But what was the symbolism for you, Richard?
Sometimes the healer needs the healing. Sometimes the healer needs the healing. You can't be everything for the world unless you're there for yourself.
I love it. Boy, that isn't that the highest meaning of all? And having to say no to people or I can't for you right now.
One of the things I've always done in oh my gosh, over 16 years of doing this, right? And within the last, especially several years traveling and oh my gosh, just really overextending myself. I would have never canceled events. I
Mhm.
would have never disappointed people. I've done readings with COVID. I've done readings with the flu. I even tested and got certified as a medium before I had my neck surgery. And, I was a hot mess up in Lilydale with nerve damage, and like it was a train wreck. But I got certified. I was rigorously tested, and my teacher would just be like, "Go rest," and I'm like, "No, I got to do readings," and like she's like, "No, if you're not mindful, thank you, Patricia Price, and if you're not mindful, you can't be anything to anybody." And I had to learn that. I had to learn that. So it
Wow.
is okay to not be okay. It is okay for the healer to need the healing. And if you tell people and you give everything to people in this world, you have to be willing to give it to yourself. And I always say that most people never come to their own rescue. And this is where I needed to do that. And thank you for everybody that understood in the events that I had to reschedule at Reiki Space in Harrisburg. And that's now for March 9th and 10th. And but it was a lot. It was really a lot. And, I that's what I learned. That's what I learned. It's
But
okay.
and it's a big lesson. And I think that everything that we experience in life, whether it's an illness or a car accident or a divorce or whatever it may be, the we need to develop relationship with self and God first. And it's in these moments when we actually get the opportunity to do that. Because who was there? I know your wife was there and all, but in those moments, right, when you were really by yourself, who was there, Richard?
Mm, divine energy,
Yeah. Your
Yeah.
divine energy and you. And that connection is paramount as we move into the new energies forthcoming this year, next year. It's very important. And I even talk about that in my book. Okay. The
Yeah.
little blue room, that your primary relationship needs to be with self and God, or self and universe, or whatever terminology
No,
you
it's all the
prefer.
same.
It's
And
all the same, but that it's paramount. It's just paramount.
so let's talk about, and this is a big thing too, why people don't really get the healing that they need, right? It took a lot of things, okay? It took a lot of what I realized is that if I didn't also, and we talk a lot about this on our show, Pauline, about shadow work, healing traumas, things like that, right? And most of us are walking around as a unhealed trauma. We
Mhm.
are literally triggered by most things, right? So if I didn't do a lot of what I needed to, I would have tried to people please, which is a traumatic response, right? I would have not listened to myself or put myself first, which is what? A traumatic response. I would have listened to everybody and not to myself, which is what? We don't trust ourselves, traumatic response. I would have probably been a lot worse because I would have also had some self-worth issues, right? Or insecurities, trauma response. And this is why when we talk about this, when things happen, we need to be able and be prepared to apply and be there for ourselves. So healing yourself, listening to your higher self, God, divinity, universe, whatever you want to call it, right? God of your own understanding, whatever that looks like for you. But you really need to do some of these things so that when life happens, and you don't know when it's going to happen. This was Christmas Eve. It was Ashley's birthday. It was around 6:20 at night. We're having dinner, and I look at her and say, "Are you finished? Because I am not well at all." Went home, and it was probably three of the roughest nights I've ever experienced. Okay. So it was bad. And if you never know when it's going to happen, so that's why you need to show up for yourself. And most people don't.
Right.
and I didn't talk about it, even though I'm being very transparent. And people are like, oh my God, why didn't you tell us? And why didn't you? We didn't know. It's okay. I didn't want ego. Ego would have said, yeah, I need all this and feel sorry for me. No, I just want to get better so I can help more people, right? I
Well,
want to come out of the other
there's a
side.
degree, yeah, there's a degree of empowerment as well. Okay, there's a degree of solidification inside the self when we set those boundaries and when we kind of sit in that. Okay, and that
Yeah.
doesn't mean if you're dying, you know, you sit in it and you let that happen. You have to know when to reach out. But I hope everybody understands kind of the symbolism that we're talking about here. It's very important. Maybe it's connection to soul. Maybe it's just an inner strength that develops. But it's this relationship. It's this connection to self, which is really, really important. Right. And so, yes, we're all here to serve. We're all here to help each other, but we're not here to do that at a self-sacrifice mentality.
Yeah. And we really have to um, listen to yourself, right? Be honest with yourself. Don't sugarcoat it, and say, oh, I'm gonna, yes, I'm all about positivity and affirming, right?
Mhm.
My teacher taught me that. I got a 10-minute lecture over the phone. I was getting gas and she yelled me, well, I'll try. No, Richard, we don't try, we affirm. And that was a 10-minute lecture I will never forget, right? God bless her. This woman right here, who's amazing. Um, and she's still shining a light in the world, which is beautiful. But I always like to say these are the things I learned. So, be honest with yourself. And when you're not well, it's okay to reach out and also listen and ask the universe to provide, right? Ask the universe for the guidance and then allow, right? Allow. One of the things I always say every morning in the shower, I like to pray and I have an affirmation is thank you for supplying my every need. And what that need is, who knows? And in that moment, it was people to help and guide me when I couldn't, right? And like you, yourself, Tony, all the people giving energy, Dr. Pina, and they helped me find where I needed to go. Think of a blind
Yeah.
person in a room and you're following the sound of their voice. And that's literally how it was. And again, I'm not being dramatic. I'm truly not. But I had a moment where I went to sleep and I was in between, and they gave me kind of a choice. And we're going to kind of talk about this on a future show, near death experiences and maybe soul contracts and Akashic records. And when they kind of give you a way of like, if we don't find this and if you don't listen, you aren't going to be here. You gone. Bye, Felicia. So, you know, I got to add some humor to it, right? But I
That's
did
it.
have that experience and I didn't share that with a lot of people. And I really disconnected myself for the last 2.5 months from society because I had to, because of
Yeah.
me. I needed to take care of me and really figure out me because
Yeah.
it really does do a lot to you going
Yeah.
through all this stuff.
Yeah. The isolation needed, right, is sometimes the answer, right? Because it is about going within as well.
Yeah, and it really is. And listen, the Tibetan monks, and they'll go to the Himalayas and they'll go up for 3 months and they meditate and they are one with themselves and their higher selves and and it's okay to do that. So thank you for everybody for understanding and all the support. Susie. Wow, welcome back. Sometimes you have to come to your own rescue and listen to your intuition. So glad to see you both. So glad to see you and your comment. Thank you, Susie.
Thank
Um, yeah, that's kind of what it is. And it gives you a new lease and perspective on life. And I'm taking care of me.
you.
Things are going to change a little coming up in the future. Um, Who knows? Because
Well,
I'm a
what
different person than I was.
exactly? There's a transformation that took place, okay,
Yes.
last few months. And
Yes.
and so yeah, and so there's a new you being born, and we don't know what that's going to necessarily look like or how it's going to unfold, but it's going to. And so get excited about each new day as something new may come in, and take it one day at a time. That's what
Yeah,
that's what
I've
that's what I do. I know I'm in constant transformation, and I don't even need to have it all figured out. And I don't even want to have it all figured out, because then I start thinking too much. I rather just take it day by day and let the transformation unfold. And that is a very good point, Richard, that we have to know that too. Even illness is is a transformation. And
yeah.
yes, I am working with a new client right now. She has stage 4 breast cancer. We fit in a 30-minute healing session this morning before she has to go in for surgery. And in 30 minutes, her entire vibration changed. She was crying. She was like, I actually feel hopeful now. She was like, oh my God, I think, am I going to survive? And I said, yes. And you're going to affirm and you're going to do your inner work, because this is changing you. And she's like, it is. It's going to change me and I'm going to be better than ever. So there's always some symbolic meaning for all of these horrible things that happen to us. We don't want to like lessen it and make it sound like, oh yeah, it was just a little something. No, listen, going through these situations it is traumatizing in and of itself. Okay, it is. However, there's a transformation trying to take place, and your thoughts and being alone or asking for help when you need it, there is a higher remedy right in front, right in front of you.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. Whether you like him or not, there was a singer, Garth Brooks, and I remember watching this, and he said something very profound. I always took from it, and I've used it years and years. And this was, oh my gosh, this was literally probably 8 years ago. And he would always say, what is a blessing is a curse, and what a curse is a blessing. And, yeah, this has allowed me to kind of refocus, figure things out, and come out a little different on the other end. And this is only going to help people out there in the world.
Yeah.
It really just it's unbelievable.
Yes.
And transparency and authenticity have been a very big thing for me in the last 2 months. Watching things, seeing things through a very different lens. It allowed me to kind of sit in the bleachers and see the big story. And instead of on the front lines, because sometimes when you're in it, you only see here, right? And allowed me to see a lot of things. And we're going to talk about this in another show, because authenticity, especially as spiritual practitioners, and as people, as beings, as souls, we need to be very authentic,
That is the truth.
real,
And we'll be talking about what really is authenticity. Okay. And
especially in the spiritual community.
yeah, we'll get to that. We'll get to that.
Yeah,
But I hope,
yeah,
yeah, I hope all of this was helpful to everybody, to understand that these things happen. They are not pleasant. They are, you can categorize them as traumatizing and horrible, but there's always higher and deeper meanings, and we can get through it and transform from it and become more authentic, right? And become a stronger human being, a more enlightened human being.
yeah. I mean, this is just this is the show back, and I wanted to kind of talk about these things, and kind of give people an idea of what's going on and where we're at. I wanted people to kind of understand everything. Um, and I just wanted to kind of take the show. Now, future shows, we have a lot coming up. We will be back on Thursdays at 3 o'clock. We will be talking, we have some amazing guests coming up. We have some astrology, we have grief, we have a bunch of people.
Yeah.
Hopefully we can get Dr. Pina back.
Oh,
So I
yeah.
can kind of uh, totally repay her and thank her face to face. Um, but I'll tell you, we got a lot of shows. If you have any comments or any questions, please leave it in the comments. Again, we're back. We're
Yeah.
back. We're
And
doing
if
it.
yep, and if there's any information that you would like us to create a show on, let us know.
Yeah. And we can talk about holistic remedies. We can debunk some things. We can talk about cutting edge stuff. I know Pauline has mentioned some parasite things, and you're like, what? Parasite? He had RSV. Well, guess what? A lot of this is all connected. There's a lot going on. All I'll tell you is whatever this was, it was not normal because it literally escalated very quick. And it was like the kids say, it's like, well, that escalated quick, and here we are. Like, it was like that. I mean, it was very surreal. I kept getting worse and worse and worse until like, I've never slept so much in my life. Never slept so much in my life. Like, I literally will have a reserve when I die. They're gonna give me like, yeah, they're gonna knock some time off the sentence. I don't know. Like, I've never slept so much, but I'm glad to be back. Much love to everybody and all of the thank yous or the get wells, the prayers. I've had one, Amanda reached out literally every few days. Melissa, like all these people reaching out, like, how are you doing? Checking in. Oh my God, are you okay? Yes, I'm getting back. Am I 100%? No, no. I'm gonna be honest. I don't have a lot of the energy. My chest is now burning because I've talked a lot. My throat hurts. But I'm getting there.
All
And
right.
one day at
Go
a time.
rest.
Yeah,
Go,
one day at
go
a time.
rest.
And then I want to get back to walking. I've gained some weight and I'm kind of like, I got to get into my two-piece for the summer, and I need to get back and do some things. And but thank you for everybody understanding and thank you for the prayers, wishes, texts, emails, everything. Much love to everyone. Everyone.
Much love to you, everybody. Be the light. The world needs it.
Yes, be the light. All
See you
right,
next.
everyone. We will see you next Thursday on another episode of Guided by Spirit. Again, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask, leave a comment, whatever need be. I put up the picture on my Hurting to Healing timeline of everything I took. Um, Again, it's pretty simple. Okay. It's pretty simple. I can give you dosing, whatever you need. But do also reach out, Inner Wellness, Inner Source Wellness, Dr. Pina. If you need anything, please. She is amazing. Amazing. Highly recommend. Highly, highly, highly recommend. She saved my life. So, all right, everyone. Thank you so much. We will see you next week. Much love.